In 2008, the burial of an Iron Age warrior dating to around 50 BC was discovered by archaeologists from Thames Valley Archaeological Services during investigations prior to the construction of Berkeley Holmes' new community, Bursted Park, at North Bursted near Bognor Regis. His grave is the most elaborately equipped Iron Age warrior grave to have been discovered in Britain, having been buried with a sword, a shield, a spear, and both complete and broken pots. Amongst the many spectacular objects buried with him was a bronze helmet, adorned with a breathtaking and unique crest. His identity, however, remains a mystery. Scientific tests show that he was not local. But where did he come from? What had he seen? And why was he treated to such an elaborate burial? We have brought together a team of world-class experts to analyse and interpret this unique burial. This exhibition takes you on a journey of discovery as the mystery warrior reveals some of his fascinating secrets for the very first time. Through archaeological and scientific analysis, we try to answer the question, who was this mystery warrior? Iron Age life in Britain was, for the most part, a farmer's life. People generally lived in small farmsteads across the country, relying on crops and animals that were kept as livestock for their food. These farms would have produced enough to support a family, with surplus to use as trade for commodities. Family groups would live in small villages in close proximity to each other. Responsibilities for farming, cooking, looking after stock, raising children and craftwork were divided up, and even young children would have contributed to the work. People lived in roundhouses built of timber with thatched roofs. Woodland was an important part of the landscape, and Iron Age people were expert carpenters. Tools in the late Iron Age were mostly made of iron, and making objects in bronze became a specialist skill. Towards the end of the Iron Age, the area local to Chichester was inhabited by the Ragini tribe, a branch of the Atrebates. Hill forts were abandoned in favour of settling along the coastal plain. Farms and field systems from this period have been discovered at Copse Farm, Oving, and Hazel Road, North Bursted. At West Hampnet, a late Iron Age cremation cemetery has revealed over 160 graves, the remains of pyres and some small shrines. It is now known to be the largest and earliest Iron Age settlement found in Britain. Grave goods are objects buried with a grave or burial chamber alongside an individual. However, grave goods are much more than that. They can be a vital tool for archaeologists to better understand the person who has been buried. Although grave goods can often be personal possessions of the deceased, this is not always the case. Grave goods can indicate power and wealth. They can also be many other things: gifts from relatives and friends, objects or food the dead might need in the afterlife, symbols of skill, or talismans or charms for the journey into the next life. In the late Iron Age, a few select types of objects were created in miniature and often buried at religious sites or in hoards. The objects chosen, weapons, shields, cauldrons, wheels, and animal figures, suggest key areas of life, especially war and feasting. They may also have had other associations. A shield was perhaps more widely symbolic of courage, protection, or strength. Shields are some of the most common miniatures, emphasising the importance of these objects to Iron Age communities. Although a very powerful symbol of defence, shields must be seen as a weapon as well as armour. A shield can be used to crush or choke, to bring down, pin down, and immobilise an enemy. Shields are often decorated and flamboyant, suggesting they may have provided symbolic as well as physical protection. Openwork is incredibly rare in Britain, and when found, items tend to be on a much smaller scale than the openwork found at North Bursted. Iron Age or Celtic art such as this essentially takes the form of interlocking shapes or motifs which create a complex pattern. This relies on interplay of positive and negative motifs. Many different techniques were used to create Celtic art designs. They could be modelled in 3 dimensions, embossed or engraved into metal, or created through the use of contrasting colours and textures. The Mystery Warrior's helmet had been customised with 2 exquisite and unique open-work crests, creating a headdress unlike anything that has ever been discovered. The openwork was attached to the helmet using 5 mounts of varying sizes. The crescent-shaped piece sat laterally across the top of the helmet from ear to ear, whilst the asymmetrical piece was mounted centrally behind the crescent-shaped piece and ran down the back of the helmet to the neck guard. A U-shaped mount running along the top of the crests suggests that the headdress would have been finished with a stunning plume, perhaps made from horse or boar hair or from feathers. The individual, a man aged 45 years or over, was buried in a highly elaborate and celebratory way. The community had constructed an open wooden iron-bound box with which to carry him to his final resting place. Once there, he was removed and placed into a pre-prepared grave. By his left side was a bronze helmet adorned with a unique and elaborate openwork crest. A bronze butterfly-shaped shield boss was found next to the helmet. His sword, still in its iron scabbard, was placed by his knees. The objects had been ritually destroyed before being buried with him. His spear was also broken. The spearhead was found by his head, but the butt at the end of the spear was placed by his left shin. 3 tall pottery jars had been placed by his head. In contrast, 2 pottery bowls placed by his feet had been smashed deliberately. Only some pieces of the bowls were placed in the grave. In the local area, Iron Age people cremated their dead using a funeral pyre, so the mystery warrior's burial is extremely rare. It is likely that the mystery warrior was being honoured with funeral rites most commonly found in France and Belgium at this time. Here, whole cemeteries of the dead can be found with grave goods including swords that have been ritually damaged and bent before being given to the dead. His bones show us that he was 5 foot 7 inches tall and led a very physical and active lifestyle. His leg bones exhibit evidence of strong muscle attachment, perhaps from horse riding, and his right upper arm was larger than his left, suggesting he used his arm for swordsmanship. The vertebrae of his upper neck also show signs of significant wear, possibly from wearing a heavy helmet over time. Isotope results suggest a childhood spent in a zone that includes eastern France and much of eastern England, excluding the south coast east of Devon. During the late Iron Age, ties of kinship and trade linked the people of southern Britain with those of northern Gaul. On the continent, Julius Caesar embarked on a military campaign to conquer Gaul for the expanding Roman Empire. Known as the Gallic Wars, major battles were fought across much of what is now France and Belgium between 58 BC and 51 BC. Conflict migrants fleeing Caesar's brutal conquest were also known to have taken refuge in Britain. The results of the isotopic analysis, the burial rite bestowed upon him, and the style and form of his weaponry suggest that the mystery warrior was from the continent, probably from France. He was probably a conflict migrant, and he probably didn't travel alone. The ritual killing of his weaponry was not done by him, but by others who would have experienced this practice on the other side of the channel. Perhaps the mystery warrior was buried by brothers-in-arms, men that he had once led in battle. The grandeur and magnificence of his helmet alone demonstrates that he was certainly a figurehead. We may never know for certain who he was, but we do know he was a man of great power and influence, respected and loved by his followers in life and in death.